Can't wait to talk to this man. It is Tim Connelly, the president of basketball operations for the Denver Nuggets. This is fresh off the debut of Aaron Gordon last night that resulted in a great W to start things off. First of all, Tim, thank you for the time this morning. Secondly, I guess the first thing out of the gates is, you guys have played this patience game with this team and waited to really build this core and develop players. What made it different this year to try and go all in and get a big chip?
Well, I think it's all specific to the player. We've had countless conversations. It's always difficult to make a deal, but when you look at the compilation of our roster, it was clear we needed a guy like Aaron, a guy who can guard several positions, who has a physical presence, fits in age-wise. So I think it's such a fluid team-building environment, and it seemed quite obvious that was a deficiency that we had. And he's a heck of a player, the guy we've long had our eyes on, and we were lucky enough to get him.
Tim, on deadline day, there was so much movement, right? You signed JaVale, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I think that they might be done because I think Boston's going to go all in on Aaron Gordon. I don't know how detailed you can get on this stuff because things change rapidly. But when Boston set their sights on Fournier and put all their eggs in that basket, did that open the opportunity for Gordon? Was Boston your chief competitor there?
I think there were quite a few teams.
Okay.
I don't think they had quite a few avenues to add players. So I know they were involved all over the league. But you put your best foot forward. I think we were offering a pretty compelling package, and Gary's obviously a heck of a player. Orlando thinks the world of RJ, and you see what can happen. But I think it was not specific to one team. I think there was probably 6 or 7 teams that are actively trying to get Aaron.
Tim, I know that it's difficult in your position, market size and all that kind of thing. I think that you did as good a deal as you could possibly do on deadline day, to be honest with you. And I look at it as, boy, this is a home run for you guys. Do you feel the same way? Is there anything bigger out there that you think could have gone down? Because to nab a guy like this, but really how he fits your team, to me, that's what it's all about.
To use a football analogy, I think we need a left tackle, and Aaron's a heck of a left tackle. We needed a guy to both help and protect our best player in Nikola, and Aaron could do that. His age is perfect. He's a guy that can grow with us at 25. He's seen a lot of basketball, but still just 25 years old. We did a ton of background. All the vetting came back the same. A guy that's driven by competition, driven by winning, a big-time worker. So for all those reasons, he was a guy that we had circled. We tried our hardest to get him, and lucky enough, we were able to put together a deal that allowed us to get him here in Denver.
Tim, I don't know how detailed you can get on this, but in your position, to get Aaron Gordon, you have to give away guys you like. You have to give away a Gary Harris. You have to give away an R.J. Hampton. Is it frustrating for you looking at what you need to give up in order to acquire players, whereas Brooklyn and L.A. can just wait for the buyout market and get guys?
Yeah, don't get me started on the buyout market. It is, I think it's certainly a flawed system. And
it's got to be looked at.
I'm so glad you said that. I was afraid to bring that up.
Finish. Keep going,
I was
Tim.
afraid.
No, I mean, I think there's got to be some cyclical nature to how much you can get in the buyout. It can't be. I don't know what specific rules. We've bandied about a bunch of different ideas, but it seems like the same teams go to the well every year over and over. And I also think it hurts deal making. If you have make it up a functional center at the trade deadline, and you should be able to recoup some type of value. Like, Cleveland got a second, a protected second, and Isaiah Hartenstein. Isaiah's going to be a good player. If you're sitting there with a bird in hand, knowing a week later someone's going to get bought out, but you don't have to make that trade, it doesn't just hurt that team. It hurts the team that's trying to trade the player. It has ramifications league-wide. So, we can meet at the bar one time. I can go talk about the
Hey.
Well, Tim, at the center of this, though, I mean, what can the league do? Because technically it's wrong, and we get it, but they're trying to protect their investment. And let's be totally and brutally honest here. In the end, the big market teams, when they win, it's good for the league. That sucks for us. It sucks mightily. But is that truth? When the big markets win, the league wins.
Well, I think there's a couple of ideas. I don't mind the whole idea of a buyout. If you're a good veteran player and you get traded to a place that has no chance to win, and the team says, you know what, we want the roster spot, and you don't want to be here, I'm fine with that. It just seems as if certain markets continuously get, the top of the tier guys in the buyout market. I'm not smart to figure out any issues. I just complain. But is there some situation where, you're limited on a yearly basis? How many buyouts can you do? A buyout every other year? On the whole, it's going to be there, and I get it, and I understand it for the player and the team. If you're a rebuilding team and you have an unhappy veteran, you want that roster spot. So say, hey, go home. And if you're a veteran player who got traded to no fault of your own, you want the ability to go play for a good team. So I get the dynamics. I don't think you can change the fundamentals, but I do think there should be some restrictions on how often and how common that is from team to team.
We completely agree, and that's why I intimated that it's more difficult for a team like the Nuggets at this time to try and build a team that can go all the way. But now that you've solidified your roster and you've got this group of guys and you've got the big fella in the middle, to me, Tim, this says, you know what? Our window's open, and we're going to do it now. Be damned what the dang Lakers do or anybody else, but I don't think there's anybody else around the West looking at the Nuggets and going, I don't worry about those guys. I think with the moves you make, everybody's now saying, crap, the Nuggets got better, and we better be on the lookout for them, making a run here. That's what I feel anyway.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I mean, I think we've watched Nikola grow up, so at times I think we take him for granted. We don't. When you watch someone go from a kid to where he is now, sometimes his greatness just becomes kind of hum-ho, but he's the best player in the world. When you're the best player in the world, you're at the big boys table, and you're at in the high limits room, you got to push some chips in sometimes. So I think there's a realization collectively by our entire organization that when you have a guy as special as him, you have another star in Jamal. We have depth. You see Michael getting better and better. We have a fantastic coaching staff. Why not us? I think we've shown the last couple of years that we're a very tough out in the postseason. I think we have, it sounds cliche and corny, but I do think we have like the DNA of a winning team. We know how to win in big moments. We know how to perform in the clutch. So I think our time and our chances is as good as any right now. And our guys are excited, and it should be a blast the next couple months.
Tim, you're making these rounds. You're doing these media availabilities to talk about Aaron Gordon and JaVale McGee. But I want to know what you think about Michael Porter Jr. because he has emerged as this guy who gets you 20 and 10 a night now, seemingly.
Walking bucket is what he is, a walking bucket.
What's the difference now between Porter's game as opposed to maybe a few months ago?
He's just getting more and more comfortable. I think the nature of all of us right now is now. The guy went through a heck of a journey. He played 2 games in college with effectively a broken back. I thought he was really good in the playoffs last year after a limited amount of minutes during the regular season. He went through the health and safety protocols, which you're sitting at home for 21 days. Really can't do anything. So I think a lot of it is getting him more and more comfortable. He's got an elite work ethic. He's obsessed with being great, obsessed with winning. The game's slowing down. He's got 2 great big brothers in Jamal and Nikola. And big brothers sometimes get frustrated. And, you want to go off a little bit. And then they've done a great job embracing that mentorship role, knowing what it was like when they were younger, and some of the vets would help them. So he's much more comfortable playing within our system and understanding where he can find holes. And again, he's just a really, really competitive guy. So if he struggles in an area and you challenge him, he's going to improve quickly, and you're going to see that translate to the court. He's a difficult guy to guard. He's an elite rebounder. He's a elite shooter. He's showing more of an ability to score off the bounce as last year, especially when they're running him off the line. So, when you look out there, when you have him at 6'11" and Aaron at 6'9", kind of interchangeable forwards, it's a tough duo to deal with.
Tim, nobody would dare ask you about Joker's availability. Maybe Jamal, but how many teams called up and said, hey, MPJ up for sale?
Yeah, we got a lot of calls about all our guys except Joker. But some calls are logical, and you say thanks, but no thanks. Some of the calls are laughable. You would be shocked and amused by the nature of some of the calls we get.
Well, I'm sure.
You can't even imagine.
The greatest insight I got from your press conference the other day is when you said this. You said, we don't make this deal with Gordon or JaVale unless we go through a thorough undertaking, an assessment of our own room. You spoke to other players. You got their sense. Hey, what do you think of this guy? Would he fit in? What role would he play? Not enough teams do that. I know this for a fact. Not enough GMs do that. What if a player said to you, what if you got the feedback, nah, man, that ain't going to work? I mean, do you still make the deal?
No, it depends on the player. Nicole was over here last week. We're hanging out, having dinner with him and his awesome wife, just talking about what we need and mention some of the names. You also don't want to put them in a tough situation. You don't want to let them know or spell out the whole entire deal because these guys we traded we're not here without Gary Harris, right? So it's a fine line, but the team is owned by them. We just help try to get out of the way and put them in a position to be as successful as possible. But if these guys, I do it with them all the time. Here's a list of guys. Show me who you love. Show me you hate. In between, I'll call you. I don't need to call you on guys you hate. Guys you love. If we can do it, we can do it. But I think you have to constantly have the conversations. But specifically with your best players, and again, the best player in the world, if we didn't ask him what he thought, it would be a major mistake and potentially could get a guy in here that he wouldn't enjoy playing with. And his, Joker's happiness is so important to his play. When he has fun, he plays at this level. So it was fun conversations, and it's fun to kind of hear his takes on what he needs and how I can be better helping him.
All right, Tim, last thing from me, and maybe the last thing, period. We had one player over the weekend look into a camera and say, I am the MVP. We had another player who would never, ever, ever, ever even remotely think about that. Yet the other player who has statistically worse numbers than the calm player gets the attention and maybe will get more votes. Why do you think Nikola Jokic, while he's talked about as an MVP candidate, why do you think he's never on anyone's front vote getting tally thing, whatever you want to call it, number one in their mind?
This is you got me up there with the buyout market. Now I'm going to be fully drunk at this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
First of all, I think it's optics. I think people still have a hard time believing that the best player in the world looks like Nikola. He's not an above the rim guy, even though I think he's up to like 37, 38 dunks this year. The story, I think people have a hard time believing that a guy can be this dominant when he was a relative afterthought on draft night. Our market traditionally does not garner the same attention that the coastal markets do or Chicago might. Also, he doesn't have an ounce of self-promotionalness in him. I don't even know if that's a word, but he doesn't self-promote. He's got no social media presence, which I think is great, but I think it hurts you with the quote-unquote brand building. So I think there's countless issues, and so I think the national, if you watch the national media, he's not a popular name amongst those other guys relative to the MVP position. But I don't know how you can't. There's several guys to be MVP. There's so many great players in the NBA. I don't know how he's not, 1, 2, or 3 on anybody's list. I don't care what your bias is or what your criticism could be for Nikola. What he does is historical, and it translates to winning. And he's a guy that's playing out of his mind, and I think he's going to be playing out of his mind for the next 5 years. I think this is going to be, I mentioned that at a press conference, there's going to be a level of just sustained elite play that, I don't think the city's ever seen. I mean, we started a couple of years ago.
Timmy, I agree. We're entering the halcyon years of Nuggets basketball. Trust me when I say that. I've been around for all of them. But one last thing, 20 seconds. The buyout market may not be done yet. Might there be a fit if a fit presented itself?
Hey, as much as it frustrates me, you know what? If it's something, we're always looking. We're very happy with our roster, but that's the last kind of shoe that will drop in roster construction. So we'll monitor all those potential players and talk to their guys, see if there's any potential fit. But we feel pretty good as is.
It's Tim Connelly, president of basketball operations. Tim, you're the best, man. Always appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tim
TC.
Connelly.
Appreciate
By the
it.
way, an hour from right now, Mike Malone's going to be on with the midday dudes as well. So you get a little double dip here in the next hour of Nuggets news. How about that, though? I almost just wanted to set that buyout question on a tee and just see if he'd take a hack at it, and he wanted it. He
know,
took
very
a Louisville
rarely
slugger, and he's like, all right, thank you so much.
Very rarely will people push back on stuff like that, but you could tell it's been percolating. He's not the only one.
Yep.
Every mid-market team in the NBA is looking what Brooklyn and what LA did.
It's unfair.
And they're looking
That's why.
They're looking at it with disgust.
We'll get back to this in just a little bit. Got to take a quick break. We're back in 3 minutes.
Our Twitch chat, I really do.
I love our Twitch chat. I really do.
I love our Twitch chat. I really do. Really do. Really do. Really do. Really do.
I need it.
We love our people. More and more people are coming to the program every single day.
I need it.
I'm being 100% honest. I love our Twitch chat. I really do.
Do we want to talk about the elephant in the room?
Don't.
It's about entertaining the viewer. The viewer. The viewer. The viewer.
Do we want to talk about the elephant in the room?
Don't.
You can't just sit there and be all fairy tales and unicorn fart.
I don't like the stinkers. I like the goodness.
I don't like the stinkers. I like the goodness. The goodness. The goodness. The goodness.
Don't.
I don't know what synthetic oil is.
Do not propeller head me.
Don't.
What's up, Mike? Blam! You got blammed.
Don't.
Hey, Brett, did I ever tell you my Jiffy Lube story?
I don't know what synthetic oil is.
I'm proud that I don't know. What's up, Mike? I don't want to be hurt anymore. I love you. And don't hurt me.
2 fingers, then I cup it with the rest of the hand.
Oh. Hold on there, Big Tiger. Don't get too excited.